So, since this is probably the single most asked question, today I'm going to show you how my salary has changed from 2K per month to earning almost 170,000 euros per year, to how I completely turned my life around and I'm on track to earn more than I ever have. But not gonna lie, it was a bumpy ride to get there. That was my very first full-time paycheck, and that was before tax. It wasn't much, but I was happy to have landed my first job as an IT management trainee, especially considering the fact that I actually worked as a tech recruiter for a very brief period, but that turned out to be a mistake because I realized that recruitment was definitely not something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I quit after just 1 month. Even though I actually earned more as a recruiter in that 1 month than as a trainee, you can see my happiness was lower. So I quit recruitment, got hired as a trainee, earned less, but I was more happy. But the next year, I already got 2 salary increases. First, a monthly salary of 2.2k, and then half a year later, I earned 2.4k. But the very next year, in 2017, once my 2-year IT management traineeship came to an end, the telecom company hired me directly, which led to a 45% increase in my salary. I don't know if this also led to a 45% increase in my happiness, but it definitely felt more recognized and valued at my job, which probably increased my happiness as well. At this point, I was earning around 4k per month before tax. And this period in my life I call the climb. And most people working a 9 to 5 get stuck here. This is the phase where you climb the corporate ladder. So either you get a 2-3% salary increase every year, or you compete with your team for a more senior position to get a promotion, or maybe even a management position, or if you're smart, you switch companies every 4 years because this almost always leads to a 20% increase in your salary. So that's exactly what I did in 2018. I got an offer from Heineken, and even though I wasn't really looking for a new job because I was comfortable at my current job, earned a decent salary, had great colleagues, eventually I did accept their offer. And this is one of the main reasons why.
This is where I used to live. And this is the office where I worked at.
My daily commute would decrease from 2 hours to almost 2 minutes. And the other reason was that I would get a 30% increase in my salary, meaning I would earn about 5k per month before tax. And at first, this increased my happiness a lot. Not just because I was earning more or that I could walk to the office, but because things were exciting. Working at a big multinational for the first time, this dynamic environment made me improve my data analysis skills by a lot. And as you can imagine, the after-work drinks at Heineken were great. I kind of could see myself climbing the corporate ladder here. Maybe get a nice management position, get a decent salary, get a nice car, get a nice house. But the longer I worked there, the more I realized that working in corporate office environments was just like Squid Games. So very quickly my happiness started to drop. First slowly and then suddenly. Because working at the office, I realized that working overtime was normal. Sending emails while you're on vacation was normal. Sitting in useless meetings almost every day was normal. You had to dress formally, you had to speak formally. Everything you said could be used against you. Or even worse, it could get you fired. And all of these things went against my principles. Because I wanted to live a life of freedom where I can do whatever I want. A life where I can spend time with friends and family. A life where I can do meaningful, fulfilling, and creative work. A life where I can have fun and laugh most of the time. But climbing this corporate ladder made me realize that I was climbing the wrong ladder. I had to switch ladders. So I did switch ladders. And this is where the master plan part 1 was born. And the plan was simple: escape the 9 to 5 and travel the world. How? Well, this brings me to the launch. So in 2019, just a year and a half later after starting at Heineken, I quit my job and started working as a freelance data analyst. I found a full-time freelance project with an hourly rate of 80 euros. This quite literally tripled my income from 5k a month to 15k a month. Sure, I'd have more costs as a freelancer, but bottom line, I had way more cash to spend and invest on myself, on some side projects I was working on, and other investments. The step to freelancing tripled my income, and arguably it tripled my happiness as well. What first seemed like a very risky move to quit my permanent stable job at Heineken, where managers literally laughed at me for taking such a risk to start freelancing, turned out into me earning more than my managers while working less. And this definitely increased my self-confidence, my fulfillment, and my happiness.